everyone, today I'm going to take you through different ways that you can strengthen your calves and your Achilles tendon. Now, anybody that knows us knows that we always include a form of calf or Achilles tendon strengthening in programs, particularly for anybody that runs. And this is because they play crucial roles when it comes to improving your running performance and your running economy. Also, Achilles tendinopathy is one of the most common injuries that we see in triathletes and runners. So when it comes to the calf muscle complex, there are two calf muscles, and they are the gastrocnemius, which is the bigger one that you will see, and the soleus, which is the deeper one. The soleus actually has more of the slow twitch muscle fibers, and the more and more research that comes out, we actually realize that it's the soleus that is really responsible for improving your performance, particularly in long distance running, and it's also the soleus that contributes a lot to Achilles tendinopathies. So when it comes to strengthening, we need to keep this in mind, and in particular for long distance runners, we really want to target the soleus. Now, the soleus doesn't cross the back of the knee joint, and the gastroc does. So what that means is when we strengthen the calves, we want to keep the knee bent in long distance runners, because that sort of deactivates, for lack of better terms, the gastrocnemius, and it really helps us target that soleus muscle. So all of these exercises that you're going to see us prescribe predominantly have the knee bent. This doesn't mean that you should ignore the gastrocnemius, but particularly for long distance runners, we're really going to target that soleus. So exercise number one, and you'll see this most commonly prescribed in the app and in a lot of our videos, is a single leg seated calf raise. The reason that we love this, as you can see, is the knee is bent, so it really targets the soleus, but also because it's a seated movement, we can really load up those weights and we can make this exercise quite heavy. We have made a whole different video on the importance of maximal and heavy strength training, but in particular for the calves and the Achilles tendon, we do need to load them up in maximal strength training parameters, so that can help improve performance and can improve that Achilles tendon stiffness. So this makes that single leg seated calf raise a really good option. Where you can, do these single leg, okay? That is really important, particularly if you are more prone to injuries or you do have a weakness in one side. When we run, it's single leg. So when we strengthen it, we do want to reproduce these demands of running. With these, it's really important to go powerful up. This will help you improve your rate of force development, so how quickly those calf muscles can contract. And we can go nice and slow down to get a little bit of eccentric strengthening in there, which will help improve that tendon strength as well. Now, if you don't have a seated calf raise, don't worry, here is heaps of alternatives. So the first one is a single leg bent knee calf raise in a deficit position, meaning you're standing on a step, in a Smith machine. That's a lot of words, but don't worry, this video is going to help you out. Important with this one, as you can see, you will keep the knee bent again so we can target the soleus. And the deficit simply means that you'll stand on a step, or you can stack this up with weight plates, whatever you have access to. And with this one, again, just like with your seated calf raise, you have the barbell on your back so you can load up those weights, okay? And that is important, like I said, to build that maximal strength. Go through the same principles of that power up and then that nice control down and load up those weights as appropriate. Again, go single leg. And that's why this is in a Smith machine, not in a squat rack, because you can't do these single leg in a squat rack because you will lose your balance and you're probably going to hurt yourself. So make sure you do these in the Smith machine. Now, if you don't have this, but you still want to go heavy with your calf raises, then pop yourself on a leg press, and you can actually do these off a leg press. This is probably my least favorite of these three exercises I've explained so far, just because I find it quite hard to really load up the weights and then really isometrically, so like statically load up my leg and hold it in that position and just move my ankle joint. I do find that this is just not quite as easy as the previous two, but if you don't have access to the previous two, this is still a great alternative. Again, you can load it up heavy and keep your knee bent, so you really target that soleus through there. Now, if you don't have access to these three, I'm going to give you a couple more exercises that you can do. The first, and this is almost a little bit of a step backwards, is just a standing deficit calf raise, like what you would have done with the Smith machine one, but you're not in a Smith machine, you're just standing next to a wall and you're holding onto a weight. With these, I would change the sets and reps and work more on muscular endurance. So go something more like 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, because to build these up really heavy, you probably can't hold onto a weight heavy enough to really get that true maximal strength benefits. But working on muscular endurance is still really important too. So with these ones, stand on the edge of the step, foot comes off so you get that full range, and then going that same nice and powerful drive up and that slow control down. These are a really good option if you're at home, you don't have access to gym membership, but you've got some dumbbells or kettlebells laying around. The other one I really like, and this is quite good for loading up through that Achilles tendon in a less aggressive way, is a hex bar or a kettlebell farmer's carry up on your toes. So with these ones, holding onto your weight, coming up onto your toes, and then walking for a prescribed amount of time. I would start with probably about 15 seconds and give yourself ample rest, and you can build up through there. This does improve a little bit of maximal strength, but also that muscular endurance as well. So it's a nice little double whammy there too. Other alternative exercises, if you just don't have any of this equipment and you only have body weight, is some pogos. Pogos don't necessarily improve the maximal strength through your calves or through your Achilles tendon, but they can load them up nice to meet the demands of running. So with pogos, you really do want to build your way up to them. Don't jump straight in and go a whole minute of pogos. I would start off with 10 to 20 seconds and then give yourself about 40 to 50 seconds of rest and do that 3 or 4 times to start with. They may feel fine when you do them, but they do put in quite a bit of load through your lower limbs. So make sure you start off sensible with those. If you're doing these calf exercises because you are currently experiencing Achilles tendinopathy or you're prone to that, slow the tempo of the movement down. So in the previous ones where I was saying, powerful drive up, work on that rate of force development, that's really important. That's not the case if you do currently have Achilles tendinopathy. If you're struggling with tendinopathy, going really fast with movements can be a little bit aggressive, particularly early on. So change these to a tempo movement. So take 3 to 5 seconds to do your stage up and 3 to 5 seconds down. This way you can actually still load the tendon up relatively heavy, but if you slow down that movement, it won't be aggressive at all on your tendon, and you'll be surprised how much load that tendon can actually tolerate. And we know that tendons love loading, so you can do any of these exercises except for the pogos early on if you load them up appropriately and do them slowly. If you have tendinopathy, I'd be very cautious with those pogos of how you introduce them. Now, there's lots of alternatives for you to strengthen up your calves and Achilles, including some if you're in the gym and some if you're at home. So hopefully this will help you on your strength training journey. If you do want more help and guidance on how to structure your strength training program, make sure you give Valere, our strength training app made specifically for endurance athletes, a try, or pop any questions that you have in the comments below. Thanks.